What is going on, guys? Miles here, and in this video I'll be showing you guys what I think is the ultimate best class setup for ranking up fast in Call of Duty Black Ops 4 multiplayer. Hopefully, if everything goes to plan, this video will be uploaded on Christmas, and if that is the case, I wish everyone a great Christmas and have a great day whether you celebrate the event or not. Hopefully there's a lot of new players who got Black Ops 4 for Christmas, and maybe you're watching this video to learn how to level up and play the game in the most efficient way possible. So that is the aim of this video, and with this class setup, this has definitely been my best Call of Duty ever in terms of KD and score per minute. Right now I'm getting like a 3.5 KD, and I'm rocking like an average of 650 score per minute, which is pretty amazing by my standards. So before I get into the specific details about this class, I need to give a bit of background information. The first piece of information is that this class is mainly based around solo players, because I usually play solo myself, and so I've kind of designed this class based around that. And the second thing is that for this class, it's based around the game mode Hardcore Kill Confirmed, and the reason for that is because hardcore game modes are generally a lot better than core for leveling up for a lot of different reasons. The first one is that obviously people have way less health in hardcore, meaning you can get more kills per game and then obviously more score and XP. But the big thing about hardcore, which is really underrated, is the ability to get one-shot kill medals. Since the hardcore health is only 28 instead of 150, it's a lot easier to get one-shot kills, and every time you get a one-shot kill in hardcore, you get a one-shot kill medal, and each one of these gives 100 XP. So if you can use a weapon which always is a one-shot kill in hardcore, you're going to get an extra 100 XP per kill just for playing this game mode. So now that that's out of the way, we want to make a class setup which is based around the ability to get one-shot kills. So for this setup, I'm going to be using the weapon, the GKS, which is a submachine gun. You unlock it at level 13, meaning most people watching this video can use it, as it doesn't take a very long time to hit level 13. But the GKS is a really good weapon in hardcore because it has a very good range for a submachine gun, which is really useful in hardcore because that means that the damage drop off for the GKS is going to be a lot less than other SMGs in the game, meaning your one-shot kill potential with this weapon is really good. The other good feature about the GKS is that the weapon is accurate, which is very useful in hardcore where your accuracy is super important. And finally, the weapon is a submachine gun, and this is useful in hardcore because typically SMGs have a faster aim down sights time compared to assault rifles and LMGs in the game. And when you're in hardcore, because most weapons insta-kill people, the time to kill is basically the amount of time it takes to lock onto your target. And obviously with an SMG, because you can aim down sights faster, this is going to be a lot easier when using an SMG compared to like an assault rifle. So that is ultimately why you want to use the GKS over any other weapon if you're playing Hardcore Kill Confirmed. As for attachments you want to use on the GKS, the first one is Quick Draw, because like I mentioned earlier, the time to kill in hardcore is pretty much the time it takes for you to lock onto your target, and that's already good with an SMG, but if you have Quick Draw on as well, you're pretty much never going to be beaten in terms of how long it takes to lock onto your target. The second attachment you want to use on this weapon is Long Barrel, and this one is pretty obvious because using Long Barrel on this weapon is going to increase your range, meaning the distance at which you can get one-shot kills with this weapon is greater when using Long Barrel compared to when you're not using Long Barrel, so for obvious reasons you want this attachment equipped. For your final attachment, you want to use Long Barrel 2, and this doesn't actually increase the range of your weapon like Long Barrel 1, but instead it increases the velocity of your bullets, meaning if you're aim down sights and looking at someone, and that other person is aim down sights and looking at you, if you shoot at the same time, your bullets are going to hit them before theirs hit you, and therefore you're going to win a lot more gunfights when using Long Barrel 2 because you're going to run into people who aren't using it themselves. So that sums up the main attachments you want to use for this weapon. As for a secondary weapon, this isn't like super mandatory, but I would probably recommend using a Helion Salvo if you play in solo, because the other team is going to get score streaks from time to time like UAVs and stuff like that, and by destroying them you help out your team, but you also get a bit of extra score per minute as well, so it can be useful to have an RPG, but it's not like a requirement. For your gear, I would highly recommend using the ComSec device, which is going to allow you to get more score streaks easily. A lot of people do use body armor in hardcore, but to be honest, I really don't think it is that useful, and I think your ComSec device is a lot better because it's going to allow you to get more score streaks, which help get even more score streaks, so that's obviously going to boost your KD and score per minute a lot more than if you're using body armor. Moving on to the perks, for your perk 1, I would highly recommend using Engineer for a number of different reasons. The first one is an obvious one, as it allows you to see enemy equipment such as like mesh mines and things like that, and that means you're not going to be dying to those things, which is pretty nice to boost your KD. But the second reason I think is quite interesting, and that is that I believe using Engineer allows you to read the map a lot more easily when playing hardcore. Obviously when you're playing core you can just look at your radar and see where your teammates are and then figure out where the enemy is, but in hardcore if you don't have a UAV active then it's kind of hard to tell whereabouts the enemies are going to be. But if you're using Engineer, you can see people use equipment and then you can figure out that those people are located at those equipment as they place them, so it makes reading the map way more easier. For perk 2, I would recommend using Cold-Blooded, and I don't think this perk is as important as like Engineer, but it can be pretty useful at times if you are a solo player, because if the other team is calling in like the occasional attack chopper, you're going to be dying a lot less to it if you're using Cold-Blooded, so I just feel like this perk is pretty useful if you have a spare point. Alternatively, if you don't think it's that useful, you could use Gung Ho instead. Finally, for perk 3, I would recommend using Ghost. This one is really important and I would highly recommend you guys put it on your setup. This GKS class setup is based around like a run and gun playstyle, so Ghost is going to be very effective with that, and even if you're a good player, the other team will get UAVs from time to time, so having this perk equipped is going to get you a lot more kills because the other team will rely on their UAV and they will be tricked and you will be able to kill them because they don't see you on their map. As for your score streaks, I think using a UAV is a must for pretty obvious reasons. The second one I would recommend is the Sniper's Nest because this thing is an absolute beast. This thing gets me so many kills, it's actually pretty overpowered, and it's only 850 score if you have a ComSec device, which is only like 400 more than a UAV, so getting them really isn't that difficult and they give you a ton of kills, so would definitely recommend that score streak as well. For your third score streak, this one can be varied a little bit. The one I would probably recommend the most is the Strike Team. This does cost 1050 points if you have a ComSec, so it is 200 more than the Sniper's Nest. But honestly, I feel like my Sniper's Nest gets more kills than my Strike Team, but the Strike Team is still a pretty good score streak. Alternatively, if you don't think you can get a lot of Strike Teams, I would probably recommend like a Sentry or Counter UAV instead. Finally, for your specialist character, the one I would recommend 100% to use is Crash. I'm pretty sure this is the best specialist by far in hardcore for a number of different reasons which synergize well with the game mode. The first one is that he has his assault pack. This thing gives you armor piercing rounds, which are amazing in hardcore because a lot of people use armor, and if you have an assault pack, you're going to completely ignore armor and get more one-shot kills. Getting kills with the assault pack gives you a bonus score, which makes getting score streaks incredibly easy if you have the ComSec device. As for the ultimate ability, the TAC 5, this thing is incredible in hardcore because it boosts your health by 50, the same as in core, but in hardcore as a percentage it increases your health by an absolute crap ton, since you go from like 28 health to 78. That's basically triple the health when you use this bonus. And also, when you use the TAC 5 boost, you typically get either 100 or 125 score, so if getting score streaks wasn't easy enough already with the assault pack bonus and the ComSec device, it's going to be even easier now. So that sums up my ultimate best class setup. If you want to rank up quickly, get a high score per minute in KD within Black Ops 4 multiplayer, overall I found this class setup to be an absolute dream. It's definitely been my best COD ever in terms of my KD and my score per minute, mainly thanks to this class setup. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below, and if you found this video useful, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Call of Duty, but I'll see you guys in another video.